We are about to watch the parole hearing of Savannah Shepherd. Now, this was a big news story back in 2005 when Savannah brutally crippled toddler. And this toddler will never be able to walk or talk again. And what makes this story particularly interesting is what Savannah did while locked up in prison. Savannah's Celly reported that she was forced to become Savannah's girlfriend, forced to perform over 100 different sexual acts on Savannah. And this just happened recently. Now, Savannah is coming up for a parole hearing, and it's going to be interesting to see what Savannah reacts and how the board reacts because the 15 years is coming up and I'll unpack it with the details at the end.
Excuse me, officer.
Oh, Mr. G.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
We are going to need your assistance in just a moment. If you could stay close by.
Okay.
Just for to be able to hang up and then reconnect on the equipment in just a moment. But the officer is going to start the proceedings first.
Okay. You want me to hang up?
Not yet, but in just a moment we will need your help.
Okay. Okay. Watch the rest of it. Yeah. Say hi.
Good afternoon, Mr. Shepherd.
Hello.
My name is Parole. Good afternoon. My name is Parole Officer Logan, and today is Friday, June 28th, 2024. This is the hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. Present this afternoon are Chairperson Turner and Board Members Cole and Board Member Rodriguez. Mr. Shepherd, please state your name and number for the record.
Savannah Shepherd, 382222.
This hearing is being conducted because the board has received This hearing is being conducted because the board has received information regarding past conduct, which may require participation in a behavioral management program for problem sexual behavior. Mr. Shepherd, this is your opportunity to offer testimony regarding specific information and conduct. Your testimony will be taken off the record.
Okay. I have a state.
Yes, before we begin, could the CO please close the door?
Okay, well, you wanted me here, but.
Wait. We have to do the technology piece.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of talking about confidential inmate information. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Officer, if you could hang up this call now, I will send you a new private invite in just a moment, and you can accept that new call so the board can speak to him.
Okay, so I'll hang up off of this session and you're gonna rejoin.
Yep, so wait for the new prompt to appear on your screen. You'll see the call come through and the word accept.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You told me to stay. I stay. You gotta leave. Okay, well, I don't want to stay. It's not my idea.
I know.
Listen,
No,
So
I
what
know.
they're doing is
It's what
something,
we're
so they're
talking
going
about.
off, right,
Yeah,
so
they're
they're going
talking
off
about
camera and then they're gonna bring you back on.
Yeah, and then after I can have the privacy. Yeah.
So what is it saying? You better learn. It says you're sharing, we'll see a placeholder if you leave. Wow.
Connecting.
There we go.
Thank you.
Everybody on, we're good to go, and everything's working.
Yes, thank you for all your help, officer.
There you go.
We are now back on the record. With me is Chairperson Turner and Board Member Parole and Rodriguez, and also staff psychologist, Dr. Walker. Has the board made a decision?
So, Mr. Shepherd, after reviewing your testimony and all the information available, the board has decided to require a sexual behavior evaluation prior to your parole hearing. At the time of your parole hearing, the board may also decide to stipulate each treatment as a condition of your release. You may also be assigned to the special management unit for supervision. This concludes the jurisprudence hearing for,
Get a vote.
there's no,
Just make a motion to.
okay, so I'm going to make a motion that we are in fact requiring the evaluation to
Yes,
take
ma'am.
place.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so this concludes.
This concludes the jurisprudence hearing for Savannah Shepherd, inmate number 382222. You're all set, Mr. Shepherd, and I just want to let you know.
Okay,
I just want to let you know, parole hearing will not be conducted until you have the evaluation by the connection, okay?
okay.
That needs to occur first, and then you'll be scheduled for a hearing, okay?
How do I get that done?
I will send this is Dr. Walker speaking. I'll send the referral to the connection 5 minutes from now, and they will get you on the schedule for their next trip to York.
So
Okay.
your 85% date is in the middle of March, and the board typically sees people for discretionary parole 6 months out. So we wouldn't be seeing you till September anyway.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Concludes the York hearing.
Oh, it's 2:04.
It's 12:04 p.m.
All set, thank you.
All right, thank
As you
you.
revise the script, could you add the motion to vote that's not on there?
Okay, so they decided to take things off the record, and I suppose because of the idea that Savannah was literally a predator while locked up I mean, it's hard to imagine that Savannah was a paramedic. Savannah seemed to be, doing quite fine, really. And then everything just seemed to snap. I mean, here is Savannah's full term date is 7/11/2027. Now, Savannah's going to finish this program, which is, of course, going to solve all the problems, right? And make Savannah ready to get re-entered into society. And, have another parole hearing in September, which we will cover. And so make sure you're subscribed and put the notification bell, maybe set it in your calendar if you want to see what the follow-up hearing looks like and how they interview someone who does this to their own toddler and then does this to their own cellie. I'm going to read from the reports what the judge really admonished Savannah, and I'm going to read it verbatim. So, YouTube gods, please don't smother me, is all I can say. Gotta be careful on YouTube. So, this was written in 2013. 15 years in prison for mom who shook baby. In a case the judge called one of the most egregious she ever heard, a Bristol woman was sentenced to 15 years in prison Wednesday for shaking her baby so violently that the baby nearly died. The sentence of Savannah Shepherd, 25, is to be followed by 5 years of special parole. She is prohibited from ever having contact with the girl, now 3 years old. She is also banned from being with her young child. Both children are in foster care. Shepherd previously pled guilty to first-degree assault and risk of injury to a minor in Superior Court. She was also accused of having a weapon in jail. The 3-year-old needs a feeding tube to eat and is bedridden. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Judge Hillary Strackbean said she has medicine pump installed in her spine. She is legally blind and she can't hear. And meanwhile, I have to be nervous on how I talk about this parole hearing, and that makes me sick. No one spoke for the little girl, although 2 Bristol detectives watched the sentencing. No one spoke for Savannah Shepherd either. She didn't say she's sorry. Asked if she wanted to make a statement, she said, "No, I don't, Your Honor." She was arrested in March 2011. At the time, a state prosecutor said the baby will probably never walk. No kidding. Shepherd, who was part-time ambulance worker, had no prior arrest, a bail commissioner said. Police said the baby, who was 8 weeks old at the time of September 13, 2010 incident, appeared to have been shaken. In the warrant for Shepherd's arrest, doctors who specialize in child abuse said the baby will never be capable of walking or speaking due to the abusive head trauma she suffered. Shepherd's mother, Sandra, told police she believes her daughter lost her patience and injured her baby by shaking her. And the idea that she was an EMT. I believe she is capable of such an act as violently shaking her baby because Savannah is high-strung. She has no patience and has no coping skills. That's what her mother says. Belcher said she gets agitated easily. Shepherd told police that she shook her baby August 27th, September 3rd, after the baby became limp and made odd breathing noises, but she said neither shake was violent. Then we go to the next crime. Oh my gosh. Oh my God, look at this. I didn't realize this. She became pregnant again? Yes. Wait. March 10th, 2011. Bristol baby was hospitalized for a drug withdrawal report. A Bristol baby, police was shaken violently. My mother was also addicted to drugs according to reports. The baby was hooked on narcotics, who will likely never walk again. Oh, wow. A 23-year-old Bristol woman who works as an EMT admitted to shaking her daughter. The press report said she did it because her baby was having trouble breathing. The State Department of Children and Family told the press Shepherd, who was pregnant again, was using narcotics during her first pregnancy. This is a child who will never have anything close to approaching motor or cognitive function. The hope is that someday she will be able to sit up in a wheelchair. So Savannah was sentenced in 2011, and then in 2016, this came out. And again, I'm going to read it. I'm reading. Niantic Correctional Facility inmate sentenced additional 18 months for stabbing, sexually assaulting cellmate. Victim reported that Shepard had forced her to become her girlfriend and made her sign a certificate of death. That's real charming. Real charming. A Bristol woman who is serving a 15-year sentence at the Janet York Correctional Institute was sentenced to an additional 18 months. Although none of the time is adding up because the sentence took place in 2011, 15 years. Okay, it is. Otherwise, it would be 2026. So the full term date is 2027. Okay. The math is adding up. Can you imagine that this is all the time you get for this stuff? Savannah Shepard, 29, pleaded guilty to unlawful restraint stemming from charges sexually assaulting cellmate. To think that this person is going to be out in the public is insane. According to the day, the victim reported that Shepard had forced her to be her girlfriend. The victim further reported that Shepard had forced her to perform an estimated 100 sexual acts since they became cellmates in January, the day reported. The victim also revealed a certificate of death Shepard forced her to sign that indicated she would die if she broke up with Shepard. Patch previously reported that Shepard, a 2005 Berlin high school graduate, being charged with injuring her infant daughter by shaking a child in September 2010. An extensive investigation led to Shepard's arrest in March 2011. Shepard was an EMT with Plymouth Volunteer Ambulance Court report. And there we go. Thank you, Richard, for sharing this information. You might say you might not believe it if you didn't see it. It is insane. The sentences that are dished out, and then, how, of course, I have to do this parole hearing, just worrying about how I do it because I don't want to offend anyone, of course. And you can't make it up. The world has gone mad. And anyways, the parole hearing is going to be in September. And we'll follow it then.
Good morning, Mr. Cresto Marquez.
Good morning.
My name is Parole Officer Logan. Today is Friday, June 28, 2024, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning, and by stating your names on the record, certify they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Nancy Turner, good morning.
Good morning, Michael. Panamba Rodriguez, good morning.
Good morning.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Edwin Crespo Marquez, 4/15/6/30.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Edwin Crespo Marquez, 415-630. He is serving a sentence of 20 years executed suspended after 10 years, followed by 10 years probation for sexual assault first, victim less than 13 after 2 years or more older. He is to remain on the sex offender registry for life. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of December 29, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows he has completed the short track sex offender program, Tier 2, and he works as a barber. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the low range of risk for recidivism. Utilizing the static 99R, the offender's overall sexual offense recidivism falls within the low range. Mr. Crespo Marquez, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I actually wrote something so I can read that.
Please go right ahead.
I have I apologize for my crimes against her. I heard you, and
Mr.
I'm sorry.
Crespo,
Yes,
Marquez, I'm going to ask you not to refer to the victim by her name. She has rights to privacy.
sorry, excuse me. Did not know that. I apologize to my victim for my crimes against her. I hurt you, and I'm sorry. I wish I could take it all back. I wish there was a way to undo the harm and hurt I caused you and everyone around us. Once again, I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness for my actions. I do and have accepted full responsibility for them. I've prayed and hoped that the good Lord blesses you greatly every day, and that over time you and our families heal from what I have done. I know I know and understand that parole is a privilege and it's not a guarantee. But to me, it's more of a blessing just to be here in front of you. This is not something I was expecting to happen for me. I was sentenced to 10 years and was always told that I had to do day by day. So that's what I have always believed. When I was told to see Miss Logan early one morning, I was confused, not knowing why. When she told me that I was to meet with the parole board on the 28th, my heart dropped. I was even more confused and was for a couple of days. I told my loved ones and they're happy, but I did not tell my kids. I didn't want them to get their hopes up. So for me, this is choking. So for me, this is more than just a privilege. It's a blessing just to be here. During my incarceration, I took steps to improve myself so I can be a productive member to society. I know I don't have stacks of paper saying what I did, but I have done so much work within mentally and spiritually. I was borderline illiterate and could barely read or write or even do math. I taught myself. I have done all my programs. Short track sex offenders program and tier 2 twice. I've learned to control my feelings, actions, and addictions to drugs. I have always worked and I'm the unit barber. I also volunteered to be the snack bar worker, and I also pass out the food when on lockdown since COVID-19. I have always had a great network of support, even before my incarceration. I just couldn't see it. I was too prideful to ask for help, but through this experience, I see what I've always had in front of me. And if I'm granted parole, I will do my very best not to disappoint you or my family, especially my 2 kids who need and want their father home. I have been blessed with their visitation and phone calls since the beginning and have seen their growth. My son is 14 and my daughter is 8 and are constantly asking me, when am I coming home? They ask, why am I in here and what for? But they are still too young, and it will be the hardest thing I will have to do when the time is right. One of my plans for my future is to go to school and get my diesel technician's license in my field. But most importantly, if I'm granted parole, I can go be an active father to my son and daughter. I've always been involved in their lives and do my best to teach them to think before they act and to take responsibility for their actions and to own up to their mistakes. We have a great father to kids relationship, and they're my biggest motivation to succeed in life. Thank you for this privilege. Thank you for the privilege of just being here and allowing me the opportunity to apologize to my victim and my loved ones. That's all.
Okay. Well, Mr. Crespo Marquez, you did a really nice job with that.
Thank you.
I know it was difficult. But you packed a lot into your statement and you delivered it beautifully. So thank you for taking the time to prepare. We do appreciate that. So we're going to take turns asking questions based on the documents that were available to us. And when we're done with the questions, the three of us will discuss your case and make a decision. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Pohl will begin with the questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning.
Good morning.
That was a very difficult statement from a very sad offense.
Yes.
And just want to touch base on a few things. Your statement was very well done. I could understand and really hear the remorse that's there. You know, I know it was a while ago, but the short-term program that you took,
Yes.
what were the big things that you took from that?
Mainly, it was, well, for me, it was more eye-opening on the approach just to women itself, from my past to now. I know, like, this is different respect just to how to approach a woman just in general. I was very forward in the past and I guess more disrespectful than anything, just on how I spoke with them. Or
How about with your offense itself?
my offense, as in, I don't know how to even speak of my offense. This is not I can say that I did it. I regret it forever.
Sure, but what I'm trying to get at, I'm not trying to dig into the offense, trying to dig into what you learned in the program. Like, are there risk factors there? Are there, is there some kind of plan?
Race factor, as if I would do it again? No, at all, ever. Plans, I am
Well,
more
So let's hang on there for a second though. A risk factor.
risk factor.
What caused you? What were the circumstances that set up the situation where this occurred?
Respect. I don't understand.
You're not understand, okay. I mean, like I said, this was
Yeah.
what, 2.5 years ago that you've taken the
Yeah.
program. So what was your state of mind when this happened?
Bad, depressed, angry, lost, really.
Okay, and what was causing that?
Just my marriage, work, just struggling in general with everything that, that as a man that I had responsibilities for.
Okay, so those things that created that place and time that you committed this offense, what are ways that you can deal with those things so that something like this doesn't happen again?
I learned to actually speak to people, to ask for help. That's one thing I never did. I've opened up to my family. I call my mother constantly when I am struggling, whether, my circumstances being incarcerated. It's not easy to living the daily life in here with all these men. So that's my go-to person, my mother, my father. Don't struggle like I did mentally with depression or anger. I've learned how to actually each emotion individually and work through it like never before, really. I mean, I was always troubled. I was always in fights when I was younger. I had to, unfortunately, not to get into those situations where I'm arguing or fighting, and I've done very well for myself, I could say.
So,
Not that-
and this is where I was going, right?
Yeah.
Because you talked about depression, being angry, the work demand, things like that, right? And you've also talked about the things that you put in place since you've been inside in terms of how you deal with that. You
Yeah.
asked for help, and you talked about that in your opening statement as well, right?
Yeah.
Getting a little bit of humility and being able to talk about what's going on, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right. And being able to open up the family. And then you
Yeah.
just talked about as well, when things are tough inside right now, you pick up the phone and you talk to somebody that you can talk to, right? You said your
Yeah.
mom.
Yes.
I mean, that's an important piece of this, right? You know that there's a longer program in the community that you're gonna have to take, right?
Yes.
Whether it's on parole or whether it's on probation,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And there's no problem doing that.
No. Not at all.
And a piece of this as well was some substance use.
Yes. I was on marijuana, and which was a daily thing, but also Percocets and a little drinking. Not really a lot, but drinking mostly on the weekends. But Percocets was daily, and so was the marijuana.
And why do you think that was?
Marijuana I picked up as a teenager, just hanging out with the wrong crowd. Percocets just came out after. Basically just started off as a regular dentist checkup, and they just prescribed them, and from there I just kept using them. I kept finding ways of getting them. just because it mellowed me out. It didn't allow me to feel. Just blocked the emotions.
See where we're going again, right?
Yes.
So based on that, you have any kind of plan in the community as to how you will have the support you need so that substance use isn't a problem.
Well, I have spoken with my parents on that. I mean, but either more than that, I've never like actually looked into anybody or any professional help for it.
Have you gone to any meetings?
Yeah, that, what do you mean, within here or out there?
AA, NA?
Yeah, I did, and what was it? AA?
But you don't-
NA? Yeah.
Don't do it on a regular basis?
No.
Okay, so you're going back to, or eventually probation or parole. Want to go back to the Hartford area, right?
Yes.
Okay. Hartford is, there's a good program in there called CCAR.
Okay.
It's Connecticut Community for Addiction Recovery.
Yeah.
And they have recovery coaches.
Okay.
And those coaches can connect you with meetings, other resources in the community.
Okay.
That can help you, move forward.
Okay. I would take all the help I can get. I've done.
Yeah.
I've done. I mean, I know I'm incarcerated, and you guys obviously know a lot of things do get into these doors. I've dealt with cellmates that have had every substance of drugs, and it's been offered, and that's not something that's not in my plans. That's not something I want ever to pick up again, any of them. So I've done my way of coping with it or fighting it. And I did good. I did good.
So that's very respectful that you're doing that.
Yeah.
Thing is, out here,
Yeah.
one of the things that you said was one of your biggest that address some of your risk factors here is having people there to talk to.
Yeah.
Right?
No, yeah.
And being able to access meetings and things like that, a recovery coach gives you the opportunity to have more people to talk to in your life about what's going on.
Okay. No, that's fine. Yeah.
That would be a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But you got to want to do that. So.
Yeah. And I'm willing. I'm willing.
You know Counselor Rex at all?
Oh,
Counselor
yes.
Rex there? Yeah.
Yes.
I would talk to him.
Okay.
I would talk to him about getting some of that set up for yourself.
Okay. Yeah, he's a very good guy. I've spoken with him before.
Okay. Madam Chair, I don't have anything for it.
Okay. So, there's a couple of things I want to say about this first period of incarceration that you're serving, sir. Your behaviors almost been flawless, and I appreciate you highlighting your efforts to live clean and sober in what can be a challenging community, prison. I'm pleased for you that you've taken the two programs that we most would have wanted you to take.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that stood out most for me, Mr. Crespo Marquez, when I read all the documents was that you admitted to the crime right away. You didn't deny, blame, minimize. You took responsibility. And then all the way through to sentencing where you apologized. And sometimes victims have to wait, the 8 years that you've been incarcerated to hear the person who victimized them say, I'm sorry. So that fact that you owned up and that you offered that apology helps the healing process move along. So, I want to recognize that you made those steps on your own before programming. That speaks to your character. So good job.
Thank you.
And I also, when you say you want to become a productive member of society, I'm going to say to you, you already are. Because, you're holding a job there in this facility, making, the guys look, fit shine for parole hearings. But also, the fact that you did pass out food during COVID, you took that risk upon yourself to help the community there. So, that is to be appreciated because a lot of people didn't step up or couldn't step up during COVID. So thank you for doing that there in the prison and making it safer for everyone. So, when I heard you say productive member of society, and then I, reflected, I wanted to point out that I think you already are on that path, and that's really positive.
Thank you.
So I hear what you shared with Mr. Pohl as to why this happened, the circumstances that you were in. I read about the divorce. And one of the things that stands out for me and what you said that I have concern about is the depression.
Yeah.
Because sometimes depression is what's underlying, our resorting to drugs and alcohol.
Yes.
And it always makes the situation worse. But you have a mental health score of 1.
Yeah.
So what's your plan when you're back in the community and maybe things are harder than you expected, or your kids, are being their adolescent selves, and the reunion of happy feelings is worn off, and you're feeling the strain of supporting your family? How are you going to deal with feelings of depression going forward? What will you do?
Well, I know one thing that is always, I don't even know how to use it. Well, I know religion is always abused within this situation. People abuse it, saying they accepted the Lord or anything. But that's what got me out of it. I can say honestly. I can say
I'm
that's
glad
what,
to hear you say that, but I'm not sure you can pray your way out of depression.
no, but that's
So where will you turn?
so it's been the same for me. I will, anytime I can say I'm not where I was, as in depressed, I am a lot more joyful, even in my current state, than I was. I'm not the angry person I was.
But Mr. Crespo Marquez, I'm talking about when you're back out in the community and you're struggling and things are harder because now you're a convicted felon and you're on the sex offender registry and there are obstacles in your path and you get feeling a little beaten down. So do you know where to go to get help for depression or other mental health challenges?
Professionally, no.
Okay.
I don't.
So what I'm going to say to you is talk to your parole officer, if you have one, and talk to your probation officer. Ask for referrals to community mental health.
Okay.
Talk to a professional. And I'm not talking about, to get on medication.
No,
that helps for a lot of people. Don't rule it out. It's helpful for a lot of people. But, to have the support to deal with it so that, you don't get in a stuck place with the depression as it can can cause.
Yeah,
So, when you were interviewed, you talked about the crime as it just happened, but it didn't, because these were choices that you made, and there were these circumstances,
yeah,
the depression, your anger, that set the stage for you making the choice to violate this child. So
Yes.
that's part of taking responsibility, is knowing that you brought about this crime. You were the actor. The child was innocent at 4 years old and a victim.
yes.
So talk to me about your support system out in the community. I know you mentioned your mother,
Yeah.
but who else do you have to turn to?
Oh. Besides her, I have well, my whole family, really. I can speak with anyone. I have an aunt that I write that,
Is she here in Connecticut?
yes, I write her.
Right.
She,
The reason that I'm asking about your family is because, the victimization involved family members. So I'm assuming that there was some conflict that arose in the family, and there's perhaps some division about
yes.
how people feel about what you did. So
Yeah.
what are you walking back into?
Honestly, a lot more than what I thought I would be. But obviously in the beginning, people strayed away, left. Lately, for some reason, they've been coming back.
Do you get visits?
Yes. My cousin, which really I consider him a brother, just started coming to see me. My little brother himself, my sister, my mother, my father, my kids. I speak with the mother of my children constantly. I'm able to open up with her. We're actually really good friends and co-parent very well. So I have a good network of support who I can actually speak with for any reason. I can open up. I mean, what is there to hide now? But I can open up about anything now,
Okay.
whether depression, anger, anything.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I'm glad for you, sir, because you have a uphill road ahead of you, and having the support can make all the difference.
Yes.
I don't think I have any more questions for you. Understand that if you're granted parole today, your parole officer is somebody who has access to programs and services that can help you find a job, with housing, with mental health and addiction issues. So be willing to have a relationship with that person so that, they can support you being successful. They want that for you.
Of course. I know.
Well, a lot of people think of, probation and parole as just, oversight and accountability.
Yeah.
And, waiting to, lower the boom on them. But in fact, if you go into it with a positive mindset, you'll meet that person and understand they want the best for you, and they can help you if you talk to them and tell them what you need before you make bad decisions that have consequences. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Obviously, I don't have a lot to say at this moment. Both of my colleagues have really expressed a lot of what I wanted to say to you as well. And you did a really nice job on your opening statement. I wanted to acknowledge you for that and the work you put into that. And listen, you're going to have a difficult road when you do go out. So, please maintain the focus on yourself to keep yourself together. And I remember reading in the document that you were intending to kind of seek out therapy on the outside. And as my colleague shared with you, I think it would be a very important thing for you to do, to be able to have that particular network of support out there as well, community-based program that will help you, kind of continue to work on those things that are going on with you.
Okay.
And I also want to say, I read your evaluation from your work experience. They were all excellent. And they all spoke very highly of you and the work that you've done and had a lot of respect for you. So you really have gained a lot of respect within the facility. I wanted to share that with you. But, the best of luck to you, Mr. Marquez, okay?
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Crespo Marquez, you're not eligible at 85% until December.
Yes.
So I encourage you to think about how you can make the most of the time remaining in your incarceration. The Voices program might be helpful to you. You could ask the counselors about a fatherhood or a parenting program because you're going to be re-entering your kids' lives after a very long absence.
Yeah.
And they're going to have some intense feelings about you being gone. And you're going to need some skills and some tools to be able to, support them through that and respect their feelings. So think about how you can use the time remaining. So we're going to discuss, give us just a minute, Mr. Cole.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Crespo Marquez the offense here was very disturbing.
Yes.
And what he did subsequent to that, Madam Chair, you pointed out the admission right away to what had occurred. And since he's been incarcerated, he's been an example, except for one ticket for saying hello to somebody over another person's video chat.
Yeah. That's stupid.
He has a plan to go out. He's willing to engage in treatment. He is, I'm certain, based upon the way he's engaged in the facility, he will be an active participant in treatment in the community. I believe that we look at his risk, it's low. And I think he would do well on parole in the community, and he wants to go out to the halfway house and has the ability to find appropriate work. So with that being said, I would support parole in this case.
I do as well.
I do as well.
Okay, so I have halfway house, problem sexual behavior treatment, and no contact with minors without the permission. Okay. You good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the matter of Edwin Crespo Marquez, inmate number 415630, there is a motion to grant parole on or after your earliest eligibility date of December 28th, 2024, with the following conditions for your supervision: halfway house placement, problem sexual behavior treatment in the community, and no contact with minors without your VO's permission. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Crespo Marquez.
Thank you.
Give some thought to how you want to spend the remaining months and how you can, really benefit from the additional programs that we spoke of.
Okay. Thank you.
This concludes the hearing for Edwin Crespo Marquez, 415630.
We have a grant.
I will take decent, please.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Wait till you hear what he's locked up for, because heck, you would have no idea by watching this hearing. Usually a hearing, it has sound bites, and I can use the sound bites for the intro to give you some sense of what is going on. But I couldn't find a sound bite, because never did it come up as to what the hell are you doing? She was 4 years old. 4. Would you have known that? 4. You know what he did? And thank you, Richard. I'm gonna have to read it to you because it's info that Richard found. It's not like on a web, West, this is 2017, February 6th, 2017. 7 years ago. A West Hartford man who sexually assaulted a 4-year-old girl at his family's home pled guilty Monday and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. He was 25 years old at the time when he made this 4-year-old perform on him. The victim, who was known to him, immediately told her mother. The mother confronted him, who admitted what he did and said it was a mistake. She then notified West Hartford police, who obtained a confession. Under the terms of his plea agreement negotiated, the strong prosecutor, Deborah Collins, and the defense attorney, well, they had him plead guilty to first-degree sexual assault and was sentenced Monday to 20 years in prison. But it's suspended after 10, and then 10 years probation. Thankfully, he has a lifetime registry. But of course, we're not smart like the PhDs. Look at this guy's picture. That's exactly what he is. We're not we're not so smart. We don't go to Yale or Harvard or MIT or whatever. So we don't understand. But he's a low risk score. They say that in their deliberation. He is a low risk score. When they ask him, what did you learn in your programs? Well, I learned how to approach women. Back in the day, I was disrespectful to women. She was 4. He's the most dangerous type. He really is. He knows how to put together a speech, write something that's, is exactly what the parole board wants to hear. But I also think he was trying to be manipulative. He was trying to get around saying what it is that he actually did. You can hear it even in the court. What did you learn in the program? I learned how to be respectful to women. I mean, who would say that when you're locked up for doing that to a 4-year-old? Who would say that as their answer? The state and the family are grateful that the child was brave enough to come forward and report the incident so that it only occurred one time, Collins told Superior Court Judge Julia D. Dewey. She also praised the girl's mother for confronting him and immediately going to police. Some might say, well, why did he admit to it? And I know, Michael, why did he admit to it? The parole board said, well, you admitted to it right away. We'll commend you for that. I hear, though, that psychopaths, not all of them, or some of them, they are lacking that ability for self-preservation. And that's why you can get confessions out of psychopaths. It's not that they feel bad. It's not that it's just that they are lacking that even own self-awareness, where they just have to. And hell no, I ain't no expert. I didn't go to, like I said, I didn't write the algorithmic score. Many of you watching are quite knowledgeable about the subject, so leave it in the comments section. Correct me. I read the comments. I learn from the comments. But I don't give him the credit for having remorse. I don't think this is the first time. Hopefully it is with this victim, this little girl, survivor. Good for her for telling, because exactly who knows. And good for, we see so many stories where the mothers don't confront, or they're, so many ways this could have gone. But to send this guy out back, what did he learn? They didn't even check, as a parole board's job to check. They were just so blown away by his speech. And for him to have I mean, think about this. He has 2 kids. He has 2 of his own children. Okay. This means, and this is a scary thought, but this happened 7 years ago. So one of his children would have been 7 at the time. One of them would have been 1. And he did this to a 4-year-old. What do you like? Hello? And you're going to send him back out there to his kids? Is that even going to be like his? Yeah, I'm sure his parole, they're going to say, sure, hey, you can go. Thankfully, he has to register for life. That their legislation, it's so weird how they write it. He committed it against a crime with someone under the age of 13, but they say above the age of 2. It's like, I don't know why they just don't write legislation that has every year. Like, there's not that many numbers, just, I mean, there's got to be a difference in the profile of the monster, of the roach, between someone who would do it to a 13-year-old or 12-year-old and someone who would do it to a 4-year-old or so like, I think that it's important to classify that in the sentencing, but what am I? I don't have a PhD. It's unreal, though. It really is. You have a confession. You have a confession by the monster. Why would the DA even do a plea deal of 10 years? And I don't know whether it was truthful or part of his manipulation. I thought I would have to do all 10 years. I had no idea that I could get out after serving 70%. And I don't believe it. You don't sit in prison with people who are serving same crimes and not know that you can get a percentage, that you only need to serve a percentage of your sentence. I don't believe it. I think it was complete manipulation for his statement. I just don't believe it. To me, that's impossible. You have nothing but time on your hands and other people talking about sentences and jailhouse lawyers and all that stuff to say that I thought I had to serve a flat. It's just BS. He manipulated the board, and he's dangerous because he looks innocent. I mean, he's the kind of guy who is dangerous. That's it. That's the bottom line. And he's only going to be much smarter this time. But what do we know? He has a low risk score. And with that, I'll let you go.